My girlfriend said, my ex-fiancé needs a room. He's staying with us. I just nodded, all right. Then I packed her things, changed the smart lock, and texted her ex's new roommate's address, my side entrance. Suddenly, my phone was flooded with her furious messages. I was halfway through aligning my final slide layout when the front door slammed open. The sound jolted me more than it should have. Lena's laughter followed right after, loud and carefree, echoing down the hallway as she strolled in, phone pressed to her ear. I sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, diagrams scattered beside me, laser pointer in one hand, coffee growing cold in the other. This presentation for the zoning board wasn't just important, it was the thing that would determine if I'd get the firm's biggest project of the year. I'd been working on it for 3 weeks, barely sleeping. Lena breezed in like none of that mattered. Still giggling, she tossed her purse on the floor and waved her phone at me like it was some party favor. Babe, she said, not even pausing her call. So, guess what? I told him yes. I looked up from my laptop. Told who yes? She covered the phone briefly. Theo. His sublet fell through. Total disaster. I said he could crash here for a few weeks, maybe 2 months, tops, just till he finds something new. And then she was right back into her call like she hadn't just sucker punched me mid-slide deck. I stared at her. Literally froze. I hadn't even gotten my mouth to close yet. My hand still hovered over the keyboard. The render button glowing blue. Theo, her ex-fiancé. She had just told me, not asked, that he'd be living with us. In our apartment. I finally said, in a voice so flat I barely recognized it. All right. That was it. One word. Like a coward. But she wasn't even listening. She gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, still laughing into her phone, and wandered off toward the bedroom, humming to herself. And I just sat there, numb. My cursor blinked on the screen. All I had to do was finish the last slide, but suddenly I couldn't remember how numbers worked. My stomach churned. I stared at a line graph like it had personally betrayed me. 2 months? Who even does that? It wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it. Like it was totally fine. Like the idea of her ex sleeping under our roof, walking around in gym shorts, maybe shirtless, sharing my coffee, was no big deal. Like I didn't matter. I closed my laptop without saving. Just shut it. Slowly, deliberately. Then I stood up and walked to the window, trying to breathe. Outside, the streetlights flickered, and someone was shouting 3 floors down. Inside, all I could hear was Lena's laugh, muffled behind the bedroom door. Like none of this was real. Like I'd made her up. But I hadn't. She was real, and she'd made her choice. I just hadn't realized until that exact moment, standing in my own apartment, that I was never really part of the decision. The next morning, Lena was in the shower, singing some Fleetwood Mac song like she didn't just shatter the last bit of respect I had for her. The steam leaked under the door, filling the hallway. Her phone buzzed from the nightstand, probably Theo, or someone else who didn't think living with your boyfriend and your ex was totally insane. I stood by the closet, staring at the storage nook where we kept the luggage. The presentation, the one I'd stayed up all night tweaking, was still open on my laptop, untouched. I'd stared at it for hours after she went to bed, but my brain couldn't focus. All I could think about was Theo sleeping in our home. Her home, technically, I guess. And how little she thought of me when she said it. I reached up and dragged her suitcase down from the top shelf. It was heavier than I remembered. That old blue roller she brought with her when she moved in 2 years ago still had a broken zipper on one side I never bothered to fix. I dropped it on the bed and opened her dresser. My hands moved before I even fully realized what I was doing. T-shirts, sweaters, her favorite hoodie that still had a little paint from when we repainted the bathroom. I folded them, but not neatly. I didn't care about creases. I just needed them gone. Every item I touched brought a memory I didn't want. Her teasing me about color swatches. Her dancing in the living room while we unpacked. Her crying when she couldn't find her passport before that New Orleans trip. I shoved her socks in without matching them. I worked fast, almost mechanically, pulling things from the closet, stuffing her scarves, her yoga mat, her dumb collection of coasters from every museum gift shop she ever visited. A tote bag from the Met fell off the shelf and landed on the floor. I didn't pick it up. I opened the hall closet and grabbed her boots, the ones I always tripped over, and threw them into the suitcase. Then her toiletries from the bathroom counter, toothbrush, makeup bag, that rosewater spray that always made the mirror sticky. I tossed them into a tote. Then I stood back and looked around. Her scent still hung in the air. Coconut shampoo and lavender soap. It didn't smell like comfort anymore. It smelled like delusion, like betrayal pretending to be familiar. The smart lock app was open on my phone in less than a minute. I scheduled a door code reset for an hour from now, just enough time to get everything out. And then I sat at the kitchen table, opened my old text threads, and scrolled until I found a number. Theo, from that group dinner Lena insisted on last year, the one where she spent half the night laughing a little too hard at his jokes. I copied the number, opened a new message, and typed, "Need to coordinate a pickup. You'll want a clear space." I stared at the screen for a beat before hitting send. The shower was still running. She had no idea. Not yet, but she would. And I didn't feel guilty, not even a little. By late afternoon, I had everything packed. 3 suitcases, 2 boxes, 1 overstuffed tote bag. All of it lined up by the side entrance of the building, the one the super used for deliveries and furniture moves. I didn't want a dramatic scene in the lobby. This wasn't a movie. This was just the quiet end of a chapter one never wanted to be part of. I double-checked the lock code update. The new setting was live. Lena's phone credentials had been wiped. I stood there for a second with my hand on the doorknob, staring down at her things. It all looked so ordinary, like she was just going on a trip to someone else's life. I pulled out my phone and typed the message. To Theo, she's all yours now. Her stuff is waiting. No punctuation, no emotion, just the truth. Then I turned my phone off, not on silent, off, completely dead. I couldn't deal with the explosion I knew was coming. I went back upstairs and closed every window, locked every latch. The apartment was quieter than I'd ever heard it, like even the walls were holding their breath. The presentation still sat open on my laptop. I couldn't look at it. My eyes burned just thinking about zoning overlays. Instead, I grabbed the lease folder from the cabinet and sat at the dining table. Page after page of legal language, utility agreements, renter responsibilities. I needed something solid, something in writing that proved I wasn't crazy for wanting boundaries in my own home. Midway through the heating agreement, my phone, still off, buzzed to life after I plugged it in. It lit up like a bomb. Dozens of notifications flooded in all at once. Texts, voicemails, a couple of missed calls from Theo, but mostly Lena. Lena, 2:17 p.m. Where is all my stuff? Lena, 2:22 p.m. What the hell is going on? Lena, 2:26 p.m. Are you serious right now? Then the voicemail started. I couldn't bring myself to listen. I just watched the timestamp stack up. One was over 2 minutes long, probably her screaming. I stared at the wall, waiting to feel something. Shame, regret, fear. But all I felt was the slow, strange comfort of control. I got up, poured myself a glass of water, and sat back down. The sun dipped low outside. The quiet stayed. It wasn't over, not by a long shot, but it had begun, and I was ready for whatever came next. It was just after 1 in the morning when the pounding started. Not a knock, pounding. Angry, insistent, rhythmic. My heart jumped before my brain could catch up. I sat up on the couch, blanket still over my legs, the TV playing low in the background. I hadn't really been watching. I was just trying not to think. Then her voice rang out, loud and clear through the intercom speaker. Armin, open the goddamn door. I closed my eyes. There it was. I walked to the panel by the door, hit the button, and said nothing. Just listened. You seriously think this is normal? She shouted. You locked me out of my own place? Are you out of your mind? Behind her voice, I could hear Theo saying something, low and muffled. Then Lena again, shrill and shaky. You are being absolutely insane. I don't even know who you are right now. I pressed the talk button. You told me Theo was staying here without asking. That wasn't a conversation, Lena. That was a decision. When I didn't get a say in, that doesn't mean you get to kick me out. You didn't ask if it was okay. I said, quieter now. You just did it. You made your choice. And now I've made mine. There was a pause. Then a new voice, Theo. Man, look, maybe we should just talk. No, I said firmly. This isn't a group project. This is my home. You were never part of it. Another beat of silence. Then Lena lost it. You are controlling, she yelled. You always have been. You pretend to be calm and rational, but really you just want everything your way. Lena, you brought your ex-fiancé into our home without even checking. That's not my way. That's basic respect. This is vindictive, she spat. It's petty and controlling and honestly disgusting. You're kicking me out over something temporary. I was trying to help someone. You were helping yourself, I said. You just didn't expect me to say no. I heard her curse under her breath, then a sound like a hand hitting the wall near the intercom. Theo spoke again, this time more cautious. Maybe we just come back tomorrow and... No, I cut in. Don't come back, either of you. Lena's voice trembled, but she still had fire in it. You do realize I can call the police, right? I lived here for 2 years. You can't just throw me out. You never paid rent, I said. You're not on the lease. And I've already spoken to someone. Are you threatening me now? She snapped. I'm protecting myself, I replied. There was a long pause. Then finally, the sound of her footsteps retreating. Theo said something I couldn't make out. The intercom clicked off. I stood there for a while, staring at the door. My hands were shaking, but my breathing was steady. She was gone, for now. The next morning started early. I barely slept, just drifted in and out with every creak of the pipes, every car that passed outside. My nerves were frayed, my phone face down on the counter where I'd left it the night before. I wasn't ready to deal with the fallout, but I knew it was coming. It started with a voicemail from Mira, Lena's younger sister. Hey Armin, I don't even know what to say. Lena's a wreck. She told me everything, or, I guess, her version. Look, this doesn't sound like you. Did something happen? Are you okay? Because, honestly, it kind of sounds like you snapped. Snapped. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it. An hour later, Ria called. Lena's best friend since college. She didn't even waste time on pleasantries. Hey, so, I'm just gonna say it. I think this whole thing's gotten way out of hand. Look, I'm not picking sides, okay? But she just needs her charger, her laptop, some documents from the nightstand drawer. You don't need to be cruel about it. Cruel. That one hit differently. I took a deep breath and rubbed my face. Then I texted back. Me. I'll leave her things by the lobby desk. Theo can pick them up tomorrow before noon. I didn't get a response, but at least it stopped the calls for now. By mid-afternoon, I called Kevin, a lawyer friend I'd met in grad school. One of those friends you never see unless you need help. And now, I needed help. Is this legal? I asked. Like, what I did. Changing the locks. Packing her stuff. He was quiet for a second. Then, technically, it's a gray area. You two didn't have a formal cohabitation agreement. She's not on the lease. Never paid rent. But she's been living there. So yeah, it could get messy if she wants to make it messy. Awesome. Look, he said. Document everything. Every message. Every voicemail. The date she moved in. When she stopped paying for anything. What she said about Theo. If she tries to come after you, you want a paper trail. I spent the rest of the day doing just that. Screenshots. Bank statements. Email threads from when she moved in. A photo of the suitcase lined up by the door. A copy of the lease with my name on it and hers noticeably absent. It felt weird, cold, even, but I wasn't about to leave myself exposed. That night, I left a small cardboard box in the building's lobby, labeled with her name. Inside, her laptop, charger, a couple folders, a few random receipts she always left lying around. No notes, no messages, just facts. I went back upstairs, locked the door, and sat in the dark. This wasn't heartbreak. This wasn't even grief. This was cleanup, and I was getting good at it. It was 2 days later when the truth finally cracked open. I was eating dinner alone, leftover takeout and a warm beer, when my phone buzzed with a message from Justin, a coworker I barely talked to outside of project meetings. Justin, hey, weird question. Didn't your girlfriend used to date a guy named Theo? I stared at the screen. My chest tightened. Me, yeah, why? A minute passed, then 3. Then he replied, Justin, one of my friends used to live with him. Said Theo was trying to get back with his ex and lied about needing a place to stay. Something about a fake sublet falling through. Wanted her to come rescue him so they could move in together again. I sat completely still, fork in hand, beer halfway to my mouth. No way. I read the message again. Then again. Me, are you sure? Justin, pretty damn sure. His roommate was pissed. Said Theo told him weeks in advance he was leaving. He didn't get kicked out, he bailed. Said he had a soft landing plan. I didn't reply. I just lowered my phone, leaned back, and stared at the ceiling. Lena lied. She didn't just make a careless decision. She orchestrated it. She created a fake emergency, wrapped it in urgency, and handed it to me with a kiss and a smirk like I was too dumb to question it. And the worst part? She wanted me to say yes, to roll over, to make room for the man she was trying to ease back into her life, while I sat there, playing the good boyfriend. The punchline. I picked up my phone again and opened the chat with Rhea, the one where she asked for Lena's laptop and documents. I pasted the messages from Justin. Me. Ask her again what happened. Ask her why she really needed Theo to stay here. She read it within seconds. The typing dots came up, then vanished, then came up again. Rhea, wait, are you saying this was a setup? Me. No, I'm saying it was never about a sublet. It was about getting back with her ex while pretending it was all just temporary. I was the cover story. Silence. For a long time. Then finally, Rhea. Holy SHT. No apology. No defense. Just disbelief. And that, somehow, hit harder than anything else. Because up until now, people had framed me as angry, bitter, overreacting. But now the story was shifting, and Lena's web of poor me was starting to tangle around her ankles. I stared at the wall for a long time, not smiling, not angry, just hollow, not because it hurt, but because I finally understood what kind of person I had been living with, and I wasn't even surprised. It started subtle, like most reputation cleanups do. Lena didn't post anything directly, no dramatic breakdowns, no rage-fueled subtweets. Just hints, carefully curated sadness disguised as poetry, screenshots of moody Spotify lyrics, a close-up photo of her hand gripping a coffee mug with the caption, some betrayals you never see coming. Her followers didn't know what happened, but they didn't need to. The performance worked without details. Comments trickled in. You okay, babe? He didn't deserve you. Here if you need anything. Always. I watched from my burner account. Of course I had one. I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction of knowing I still looked. She'd rewritten the story, not just for her friends, but for herself. She wasn't the one who brought her ex into our apartment. She wasn't the one who manipulated the truth. She was the broken-hearted woman blindsided by a man who kicked her out with no warning. Her new narrative spread in whispers. Quiet judgment came in sideways. A few mutuals stopped liking my posts. One of her cousins unfollowed me. Not that I cared, but I noticed. Then Mira texted again. Mira, I'm not trying to take sides, but people are saying you just threw her out like she was nothing. Did something else happen? I didn't reply right away. Then I sent her the screenshots from Justin, the proof that Theo's sublet story was fake, that the whole thing had been a soft launch for getting Lena and Theo back under the same roof. I followed it with a message. Me, this isn't a breakup. It's a course correction. She didn't respond. Not for hours. Then finally, Mira, I don't know what to say. That was enough. That evening, I packed one final box. The things I couldn't throw away, but didn't want to keep. A pair of earrings she left on the bathroom counter, a dog-eared paperback from her nightstand, a hoodie I hadn't realized was hers until I saw the tiny tear on the sleeve. All of it went into a plain cardboard box. I didn't label it, just taped it shut and left it in the lobby with the super. He owed me a favor and agreed to hand it to Theo if he showed up again. I sent the tracking number to Mira and Rhea with one last message. Me, this is the last of it. Please don't contact me again. I'm done. Then I blocked them both. There was no dramatic speech, no public declaration, just a quiet, clean break. And it felt like exhaling after holding my breath for 2 years. She could play whatever part she wanted now, but I was already off stage. 3 weeks passed, long enough for the shock to settle, but not long enough for the consequences to stop rippling outward. I hadn't heard a word from Lena, not directly. She stopped the posts too. No more sad captions, no more blurry late-night selfies and oversized sweaters. But people talk. Mutuals who didn't pick a side started dropping breadcrumbs. Apparently, she and Theo were living together now, officially. Not in our old place, of course. That door was permanently closed. They'd found a one-bedroom over in Ridgewood. Cheap, cramped, badly lit, but temporary, according to someone who ran into Theo at a deli. Temporary always meant permanent, but embarrassing. I didn't celebrate. There was no vindication in knowing I'd been right. It just made the whole thing feel more pathetic. Worse? They were already struggling. Lena had cut back hours at work. Something about needing space to heal. Theo had no stable income, just a few gigs lined up and a lot of promises that sounded like vapor. Rent was late, utilities were spotty, and someone, probably Rhea, hinted they'd tried asking her parents for help. Didn't go well. The final blow came on a Thursday afternoon. I was halfway through reorganizing the living room for no reason other than I could, when I got the email. No subject line, just Lena's name in the sender field. Against my better judgment, I opened it. From lena.museums.events@gmail.com to armin.karimi.arch@gmail.com. Subject: I know you don't want to hear from me, and that's fine, but I think you owe me something. Not money, not things. Emotional compensation for what I gave you, for the time I invested. You didn't just end the relationship. You destroyed everything I built. My home, my circle, my sense of self. I've lost so much, and you just walked away like it was easy. You can pretend this is closure, but deep down, you know you owe me more. I stared at the screen, jaw slack. Emotional compensation? Like I was some kind of emotional landlord she'd been overpaying in feelings? I didn't even reply, didn't acknowledge it. I dragged the message into the trash, then emptied the trash. Gone. I spent the next hour tearing apart the apartment, tossing every leftover trace of her I could find. A hair tie under the couch, a museum ticket stub wedged in a book spine, one last coffee mug with a tiny chip in the handle. Into the trash, all of it. Then I rearranged the bookshelves, moved the couch 6 inches left, bought new pillows online. Small things, but enough to tilt the room into something unrecognizable. When I was done, I stood in the doorway and took it all in. Same space, different feeling. The apartment didn't echo anymore. It exhaled. That night, I made pasta, poured a glass of wine, and played the Miles Davis record she used to hate. And for the first time in months, I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. There was no shoe. There was just quiet, and it was mine.